What's going on, everybody? It's me, E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews, and today is a very special day. Matter of fact, today is Christmas. It's my Christmas, okay? It has been a long time coming. I have been wanting to say these very words for oh so long. Today, we are going to review the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. If you haven't already, please like my Facebook fan page and turn on the notifications. Now, if you're a YouTube user, you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on that little bell to turn on the notifications too. All right, let's start off with a quick intro. After the death of his father, T'Challa returns home to Wakanda. However, he's going to be met with a new set of challenges and issues as he takes his place as the new king. Okay, let's get right into the good.
The good.
Look, there's so much to get to, like, I don't even really know where to begin, so I'm just gonna jump right in there. The visuals are simply amazing. The closest that I could associate this to would be the feeling of awe and wonderment that people had when they first walked in and saw Avatar on the big screen for the very first time. The entire environment of Wakanda is captivating. The blending of traditional and African culture with modern futuristic stylings is just mind-blowing. Now this leads us to the technological advancements of Wakanda. On a large scale, the film really displays how far in advance Wakanda has always been compared to the rest of the world. Everything in the city looks so cool that you would probably be interested in seeing what even a Wakandan toilet would look like. Best of all, the weapons and the gadgets of Wakanda are awesome. What I loved about the futuristic weapons and technology is how we've seen them in other films before, except this time they made it uniquely their own. Look, if Wakanda were a real place, I'd be on the first hovercraft or spaceship or whatever just to be first in line there. Now within the movie itself, we get to explore some really heavy themes and dynamics. One of those will be how family and political drama intertwine with one another. The other aspect is the theme of the Black diaspora and an isolated African culture and how those two conflict. Now, this is more of an in-house conversation that will especially hit home with African Americans. Now, I think it's fair to say that that theme in particular is not something that we've really seen on film, at least not on this level that Black Panther takes it to. As far as the writing in Black Panther, I think it was done very well. It was both written and directed by Ryan Coogler, and if you've been a fan of any of his past movies, as I have, you can absolutely see how he's only grown, and his steady evolution all translates into this film as well. I mean, I absolutely love the fact that there was a nice infusion of humor into this film, and it just made sense. It didn't overtake the movie, it didn't disrupt the flow or anything like that, and it wasn't overly forced either. On top of that, the cinematography and the camera work in this movie really helps you get engaged into the film. There are certain scenes that literally pull you right into the action. Speaking of action, the fight scenes were done very well, and dare I say that that car chase scene that you saw in the trailers is nothing but epic. Best of all, the score for this film is so impactful during some scenes. Don't be surprised if you find yourself just bouncing to the beats to a couple of the songs in the movie. Okay, now we gotta get to the actors. We already know Mr. Biopic Chadwick Boseman was born to play this role. He was able to convey the deep burden of being a wealthy black king who happens to be a superhero. Now, what really impressed me in this film was just how good the supporting cast was. For those of you who are concerned, Martin Freeman and Andy Serkis, they didn't fall into that Hollywood trope of being the quote-unquote white savior. I loved how they made Freeman's character simply an ally and Serkis's character a villain. And shout out to the power of black girl magic that was oozing out of this film. Lupita Nyong'o was great as Nakia. Denai Guerrera had one of my favorite scenes where she channeled her inner Viola Davis and really brought it home. I think one of the ways you can tell that this entire supporting cast was so good is the mere fact that when the lead, Chadwick Boseman, wasn't around, you didn't really miss him when he wasn't on screen. And that's not a knock against Chadwick because he was really good in the movie. It's just that there's so much talent all around him that it's hard not to be captivated by all these other great actors. Last but not least, I've got to give props to Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger. He was by far one of Marvel's best and most developed villains. Not only were his motivations clear, but he was entirely relatable too. I love the fact that they didn't make him a straightforward and bland villain. Instead, he's just as complex and multi-layered as any good character should be. As a really big fan of Michael B. Jordan's career, I want to say that there's a specific scene towards the end of the movie that I would say is probably his best acting performance to date. Okay, enough of that. Let's get to the bad.
The bad.
Okay, folks, it's about that time where I have to stop being a fan and I've got to be a critic. I'm back. As many of you already know, as excited as I might have always been for Black Panther, I've still got a job to do. I've got to be a critic and I've got to be as objective as I can, even within my subjective opinion. And that means I've got to call a spade and I've got to be as honest as I can be. So as much as I wanted Black Panther to be the perfect movie, it still fell victim to the mirror villain problem that Marvel apparently just cannot shake. The mirror villain is basically the trope where the villain is a mirror reflection in powers and abilities to the hero of the story, except they just have different personalities or motives. You probably saw it in the trailer already, but Killmonger and Black Panther are just two sides of the same coin. It's totally fine to have their motivations be different, but it would at least be more intriguing to have a villain pose a different and unique challenge to the hero. That makes the victory of the hero all that more satisfying at the end of the day. Last thing I wanted to point out, and it was really more so for like one particular scene, is that it did get a little bit predictable at the halfway point of the movie. It's not a major issue, but it is something I do have to mention. Okay, whew, that was rough. All right. Let's get to the reason.
The reason.
Black Panther is every single thing that you would want in a movie. It will have moments that tug at your heart, make you laugh, get you to think, or keep you on the edge of your seat. It breaks the comic genre in a number of ways that makes this movie accessible to everyone. When people ask me to compare this movie with other films, the closest I can think of is probably Avatar meets Minority Report, meets James Bond, meets The Lion King, meets Malcolm X, and so much more. I would say that Black Panther is truly a unique and original film. Now, a lot of people are gonna ask, where does this movie rank in all the other Marvel films? Well, Black Panther, without question, easily falls in the Marvel top 10. I would make the argument that Black Panther is actually also within the top 5 of all the Marvel movies. I would actually take it a step further and say that it is closer to being in the top 3 best Marvel movies ever. Now, where in the top 3 it falls, I can't answer that right now because I'm really thinking about just making that an entirely separate video. So just stay tuned. Hopefully you're already subscribed. If you're not, you should be. And I'll give you my very detailed answer as to where I think Black Panther ranks specifically in the top 5 Marvel movies to date. In a nutshell, Black Panther is an unapologetically black movie. Now, to be clear, for non-black audiences, that doesn't mean that this movie is confrontational. There's no finger wagging or blaming the man or any assault of white guilt that's gonna be throughout this movie. Instead, it's just a celebration of blackness and some serious conversations that happen to pertain to black culture. I think that similar to a movie like Wonder Woman, Black Panther is going to carry an intrinsic level of significance for black culture. I guess you could probably say that this movie really has the Obama effect. And by that I mean it's the type of movie that black people have always hoped for, but never put any stock into believing it was actually possible. That is, until we saw it with our own eyes. I mean, we never thought it'd be possible to have a black president. Then bam, when it happened, it was like the world of possibilities just flooded the collective consciousness of black people in America. For African Americans especially, Black Panther is a visual representation of what a world would look like if slavery, colonization, and racism never took hold to demonize a group of people just because of the color of their skin. Black Panther gives kids around the world an actual superhero to aspire to the same way people were able to aspire and look up to Superman. Black Panther isn't an anti-hero like Blade or Spawn. He's a king of a nation where little black girls like Shuri can grow up and be smarter than Tony Stark, or women can be as strong and independent as Nakia or Okoye. Now, if you happen to be one of those individuals out there who's not black and you kind of scoff at this entire idea of how this is important or it's a monumental thing for black culture, then I would invite you to just answer one of two questions. Have you ever really had any difficulty finding a role model or even a superhero that looks like you? And even if you have experienced that difficulty, what's the sense or purpose in looking down on another group of people who just want to celebrate a visualized dream of their own? Is it really worth all that negative energy? Anyway, I do think that Black Panther is going to have certain elements of the movie that just doesn't resonate with everyone. And I really want to stress the point that just because something doesn't resonate with you doesn't make the film bad. It shouldn't be a knock against the film. I mean, every film can't speak to every single person all the time. We all come from different walks of life and we all have different perspectives. We're all unique in some way, shape, or form. So some messages in this film are just going to have a deeper connection with different groups of people. What I think we all should keep in mind is that if there is an aspect of the film that doesn't speak directly to you, take a moment and just think about who the movie is speaking to at that moment. And at the very least, we can just respect it, even if it's from afar. So anyway, when it comes to the rating of Black Panther, I've got to give it a 9.5 out of 10. If you couldn't tell by now, Black Panther is just a great movie. It is amazing. The rewatch value in this movie is really superb, and it is going to be offered in 3D, and I would actually say that this is one of those movies that is worth watching in IMAX 3D. The visuals in this film are just too good to pass up that opportunity. It's the perfect film to just set your weekend to plan to go see. Best of all, this is a really good standalone story, which means you don't have to go play catch up with all the 18 other Marvel movies. You can walk in completely cold and not know anything about Marvel whatsoever and really enjoy this movie. Of course, as we all should know by now, this movie does have 2 end credit scenes, so please feel free to check those out. Well, that's all I've got for you all today. Thank you very much for joining me. You know what? I really think that Black Panther has a lot to talk about and a lot of things to dissect. And if you guys are up for it, I'm totally up for it. I think we should definitely do like a Facebook or YouTube live or something and just talk about the movie. I'd love to hear what you all think about it, but I also want to be respectful to the people that are going to be watching at a different time. So you know what? Do me a favor, leave me a comment down below and just let me know what day of the weekend you think you might be going to see it. And whichever date gets the most comments, I'll just be like, okay, you know what? The day after that, I'll just go live and we could just sit and chat and talk about it, go into spoilers and all that good stuff. Now, if you have seen Black Panther, please let me know, what did you think about it? Where would you put Black Panther in the ranks of all Marvel films? Let me know in the comments down below. By the way, if you are interested in buying tickets for Black Panther, I do have a link down below where you can go to Fandango to go ahead and buy your tickets. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you enjoyed it. I'm always appreciative when you do. Stay tuned, I've got some great videos coming up for you all. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.